me as a personal experience, I don't think I'd be in the position that I am today had I not been with Drysdale. From the a lot of the times, there's a significant amount of support system around a lot of people, and the biggest issue that they have is that they're not really receptive. I would say I started pre entry level. I think in our company, what we would consider entry level is tennis professional. I didn't even start as that. But the combination of being able to provide a quality service on the court while understanding the administrative components is what really catapulted me forward into my first director job. And on the administrative side, not many can handle a POS system. Not many can handle a scheduling system.
What is the main reason behind pickleball growing so fast?
Oh, easy to pick up right off the bat. It's inexpensive and it's social.
Hey guys, welcome to the Sarvesh Maria Show. Today, I'm honored to speak with Albert Fernandez, who is Senior Racquet Club Director here at a club named Western Racquet Club in Florida. Western Racquet Club is a part of CDT, which stands for Cliff Drysdale Tennis, which is the world's largest racquet club management company. He tells me that he's managing 5 clubs at this moment. He started at below entry level position and now climbed up the ladder to becoming the Senior Racquet Club Director. So I got to learn a lot, and I'm pretty sure you guys gonna learn a lot from this episode. So let's go and learn from Albert Fernandez.
As a kid, did you always envision that one day you're gonna be a director of racket sports?
No, actually, to me, tennis was a more of a pastime. It was actually my cousin that told me about the sport. I was never a big tennis player. I didn't come from a big tennis family. So my cousin once I asked him to go play basketball. He goes, "No, come play tennis." And I was like, "Since when do you play tennis?" And then he invited me out. I played and I was hooked. And one thing led to another. I just kept playing more and more and more, and I became quite competitive. But to me, tennis was a sport that I was doing just because I enjoyed it, but I didn't envision a career in it originally. I think it wasn't until I got into my teen years that my first coach asked me, "Hey, do you want to do a little bit of coaching on the side?" And just to make some money, I took on the job, and that's what really started my career in tennis coaching and in the tennis industry. It all started with a little bit of money on the side.
Got it. And when your cousin mentioned, how old were you?
I was 13.
Okay.
I was 13, so I actually started tennis quite late.
Okay.
Just because normally at any competitive nature, most people are starting tennis somewhere 5, 6, 7 years old. The only reason I became as competitive as I did was the amount of time that I dedicated to it. So I was on the courts potentially anywhere between 3 to 5 hours a day. Normally more on the 5 hour end, and I was going to play probably 6 to 7 days a week.
Wow.
Didn't take a lot of breaks, and it was an absolute sickness. It was a passion originally.
I see. And so you played tournaments?
I did play some tournaments. I can't say that I did the best, and I played for school as well. I would say all the strokes were there. None of the psychology complimented me. I was a hothead growing up, which is funny because now from a coaching standpoint, you see these kids that they get frustrated. You see them, they don't pay attention to the coach, and then that really gives me a flashback to me when I would get frustrated, when I would get upset on the court, when I wasn't necessarily doing on the court during a match what my coach originally had, discussed with me. However, I never disrespected a coach in my life.
Got it. So how many years of experience right now you have in coaching?
In coaching, 18 years.
Wow. So now 18 years you have been coaching, I am assuming, different age groups.
Yep.
So what will you think, like, which age group has the least learning curve for tennis?
Least learning curve in the sense like which age group is quickest to pick it up?
Correct.
I think that's a twofold question just because I feel that when you get to really young kids, 4 to 6 years old, the biggest struggle that you have, obviously, if you create a nice foundation with their technique, they'll progress really quickly. But the biggest struggle you have with that age group is trying to retain their attention span, retain their interest in the sport. So for me, the easiest group would definitely be that 7 to 10 year old group because they have that attention span already. If they show a little bit of hand-eye coordination, then you can really pique their interest and really help their growth.
Got it. And like, as you grew up playing tennis, and did you know that you're going to be working in this field, or like, did you want to do, or you wanted to go in academia and do something else?
I definitely wanted to go into academia. I was gonna go to Georgia Tech for engineering. I think at the later part of my teenage years, I didn't really have a path that I felt extremely passionate about. So once I started working for the fire department. They helped me with school, so that really showed me discipline that I was probably lacking, or discipline that I was not holding myself accountable for during that time. So they put me on a path of, I would say, a more regimented path, and at the same time I was in tennis, and I was sort of enjoying the fruits of both. But eventually came a time that I had to decide where I was going to put all my focus on, and where I was going to put all my energy into.
Got it. And so how many years ago did you start with Drysdale tennis?
In about 6 days. I don't know when this is going to air, but now it's December 13th. I would be 12 years with Drysdale.
Interesting. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the world's largest management company for tennis?
It's the world's largest racket sports management company, yes. So, I mean, there's other management companies that manage different types of things. For example, our parent company is a golf management company, and they're much bigger than ours, but we are the world's largest sole racket sports management company.
Interesting. And how will you say your experience with them for the last 12 years?
I would like to say that in every single job that you have, there's always positives and there's always negatives. And the way that I categorize whether you are in a good or a bad place of business is if this year's positive was a little bit better than last year, and these year's negatives were a little bit less than last year's. And I've been with them for over a decade now, and throughout my journey, I've had the opportunity to learn a great deal. I've had the opportunity of growth. I've grown in times that I don't think I was ready, but I had a good foundation behind me. I had a good team. I had a good support system that even if I wasn't necessarily there was trust in me to be able to use that support system. And there is also, a little bit of faith that I would get there eventually. So me as a personal experience, I don't think I'd be in the position that I am today had I not been with Drysdale from the beginning.
Interesting. So it seems like you had a lot of good mentors.
Yes, yes, I've had plenty of good mentors. I would say I had plenty of good mentors even pre Drysdale. I think I'm not taking away from mentors, but a lot of the times there's a significant amount of support system around a lot of people, and the biggest issue that they have is that they're not really receptive. So one of the things that I always did early on is just pay attention to what these guys and girls were doing because they were in a certain position for a reason. Somebody, that didn't just land on their lap. So I worked with people that have over 40 years of experience in the industry, and they were in those spots because they have absolutely earned it. And luckily, I've had the opportunity of working under them, with them. Uh, Most of these people don't have big egos, and they're extremely willing to learn. But you also have to be extremely receptive to it.
Okay. And like, so you have been working here with 12 years. So I am assuming you started as an entry level position.
I would say I started entry level. I think in our company, what we would consider entry level is tennis professional. I didn't even start as that. I was young, inexperienced. I had experience coaching kids, but I didn't really have experience coaching adults. I didn't really have experience with a hotel clientele. So I started working in a daily kids program, like it was at the Ritz Carlton, so it was called Ritz Kids, and I would coach them. I did a little bit of front desk. I participated in a lot of the junior programs. Over time, once I'd been there longer, once there was more trust in my capabilities, I started participating in the adults programs, and then over time, I started, picking up private lessons here or there. But if this was the standard of where somebody would start normally, I started down here.
And looking back at it, you're like, do you think you made the right decision starting at the lower point?
200%, just because it made me more well-rounded. So if I looking back, if I were given both options, I think naturally I would have taken the tennis professional, which was that standard, and I wouldn't have started from the bottom. But if I would have just been a tennis professional originally at this club, I think that's what I would have known only. So I wasn't versed in the inner workings of a kids group. I wasn't versed in the inner workings of a camp. I wouldn't have been versed in what it takes to run a front desk. And eventually that led me to my next career path as I started getting better at coaching, as I started becoming a little bit more experienced. I was also taking on more administrative responsibilities, where I started doing scheduling, where I started doing payroll. And that combination, it wasn't because my coaching was exceptional, but the combination of being able to provide a quality service on the court while understanding the administrative components is what really catapulted me forward into my first director job.
Interesting. But that's like totally different jobs. Where front desk, you're just, I guess, helping clients navigate through how to reserve a court, or if they want to join a program, or where the how or how is this facility, or like introducing to the coaches or the directors to sign up. Whereas coaching is different. It's totally different. Like, what I'm trying to say is, if someone can do the front desk, they not necessarily can do the coaching part.
100%.
But when you're coach, you can still work on the front desk.
Precisely, but I would say industry wide, except for locations that are one or two people, industry wide, a lot of the coaches are extremely skilled in delivering a proper tennis lesson, a clinic, whether it be adults or juniors. But then on the administrative side, not many can handle a POS system. Not many can handle a scheduling system where they would require the assistance of a front desk individual. Now, if that coach is ready to take on a director job or move forward into the next level of their progression, they would have to learn from scratch the POS system. They would have to learn from scratch the scheduling system, assuming they're different. Where in a lot of places they are. So just by having the advantage of working front desk, that that learning curve for me was already there. All I had to do is now take on the responsibilities of the director. So I was starting with all the tools in hand. I just needed the instruction for the next piece, as opposed to starting with some of the tools in hand. I had to learn that as I was working on a bigger role.
Got it. So it kind of means when you were a coach, you were working front desk, and maybe you were just trying to help them, but you learned so many things around it, and probably build a good network.
And I was working front desk, and I wasn't necessarily trying to help them. I think since I didn't have a substantial client base in the beginning, that was another way for me to do supplemental hours. So I would do the kids programs, I would do the junior sessions, but in the times that I wasn't necessarily really busy on court, I was helping out in the front desk. Yes, it did help them, but it also helped me financially. And over time, my my front desk duties diminished because I was getting busier and busier on court. But yeah, I would say anything that you can particularly learn, whether it's the basic level and where a lot of people would think it's beneath them, that for me was never the case. I never thought a job was beneath me. I always thought, what is the task, what is the challenge, and how do I improve from here?
Got it. Okay, now coming back to a little bit tennis related, and part of this job is like, let's keep coaching as a front end, and all the front desk, the HR, the directors, all the back end. What will you say, it, like, kind of like totally all summing all of them up? What is the most important aspect of like just the company? Like,
Um, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, the the forward facing team is always going to be top of the line, just because there is no headquarters without the coaches. There's no headquarters without the front desk. There's no marketing, human resources, how do you call it, accounting, if we don't have our team out there greeting clients, we don't have our team out there teaching. But I think the biggest and most important piece of the company is the support system. It's really allowing for the new front facing people to understand that there's a pathway for their growth. Right? You are more than welcome to stay here if you like, in the sense of, yes, if being a tennis professional is your passion, or a racket sports professional is your passion, you're more than welcome to stay here and do that for the rest of your life. However, if you see something else where you'd like to take on some other responsibilities, this is the pathway. And allowing for that support system is crucial, because it allows our company to grow with everyone's individual desires for making this industry a career. And on top of that, from somebody that's already grown into that aspect, it's a very very scary place when you don't have the experience in a certain role to take on those responsibilities and excel in it, because now all of that lies on your shoulders. But within this company, it's not necessarily like that. There's a support system behind you that a pushes you to do really well, is there for your backup, but holds you accountable as well.
Okay.
I think that's extremely important. I think that's the reason we've been able to succeed to a certain degree, just because of that system. Had that not been there, then every club would operate extremely differently.
Correct.
I
So
don't think we'd be able to maintain a standard.
correct. So it's like laying out a process, and then all the clubs kind of managing that process in a way like the headquarters lays it out.
True, and it's although there's guidelines that we follow, we still allow every location to be unique. Just like you're a tennis professional here at Western Racquet Club, so every week we meet and we talk about the theme of the week. But I don't tell you how to coach it. We follow the guideline of the theme of the week, right? And we allow this. There's common practices, but we allow every coach to exhibit their uniqueness through their coaching, as long as we're all working towards the same goal.
Got it. It's like a personality trait.
Precisely. So every club, in one way, shape, or form, has its own personality. Weston has a different personality than the Ritz Carlton in Key Biscayne. The Ritz has a different personality than on the Amelia Island, and I think that's what makes it so fascinating, because every club is different, but at the same time, we strive to provide a standard of service.
Correct. So would you say like because in this kind of business, clientele is very important part. You think every club has different personality based on clientele?
I think based on several things, that clientele will be attached to a demographic of the area. The other piece is whether a club is a membership club where you see a lot of the same people, or is a club a resort club where you see a lot of transient guests. I mean, you wouldn't in a resort location where you have 3 days with one person. That's how you mold their concept of you, and you have to really provide a service within those 3 days that excels. However, here in a membership club, I would say the challenge is that you have to provide that service day in and day out, but it allows you to have a little bit more of a personal touch with your clients. In fact, a lot of our clients eventually, at one point or another, become kind of family.
Correct. And now I'm gonna come back to when you mentioned like coaching staff definitely dealing on the front end, but don't. I still think like for you to hire or HR to hire good staff, it's very important for HR to be there just to have a good eye of different kind of people, and because in this kind of business, it's okay if you're a good coach, but you have to be a nice person and be genuine with the
True.
people who are coming here to play. And in my last year of experience, that's what I saw. Like it's more about relationship building than just coaching, which actually encourages to play, like the players to play more.
100%. I think too often in this industry, people people make it one dimensional, where they think, oh, I can provide X level of coaching, and that's great that you can provide the highest level of teaching, but as you mentioned, this is all relationship building. these aren't just clients; they're human beings. They come here, and this is their free time. This is their what I like to think of this their therapy time. They leave the real world for an hour or two, and they come and they join us and relieve stress. They forget about whatever issues they may have at home. They forget about whatever issues they may have at work. This is the time for them to just keep sane and have a fantastic time. And if we can provide that, although we want to provide the best possible amount of knowledge, that takes precedent over whatever it is you're teaching. So yes, personality plays a big role when you're a rackets professional.
Correct. So now you mentioned therapy over there. I'll ask question related to it. And my question, because I heard someone saying the other day that they don't like to go to gym because everybody in the gym wears headphones and just lifts, which is so boring, rather than coming here and play. What do you think of that?
I mean, everyone chooses their healthy lifestyle hobby in a very different way. Some people are big fans of going to the gym and putting on their headphones and lifting for several hours. Some people like to do cardio. I think this provides a combination of things. It provides I wouldn't say it's just a workout. This provides a lifestyle. It it provides a place that you can come and do something healthy for X amount of time. You can come and and socialize. You can come and add your family to it, which as you've seen develop, typically one demographic of the family will start tennis or will start pickleball or start padel first. If it's the parents and they just are brand new tennis players, over time, once they get hooked on the sport, what do? They bring their kids and they bring them to our programs. If it's the kids, the parents wanna do whatever it is their kids are doing just so they can have something to play with or something that they can relate to. So with enough time, this place becomes a family location. Whether one of you started it or the other one, it's all encompassing. So I'm not knocking the gyms. I think there's a time and a place, but a rackets club provides a lot more than just a healthy lifestyle. A healthy workout. It provides a lifestyle that people can do pretty much till the end of their days. Because you can play tennis way into an advanced age. You can play pickleball way into an advanced age. Padel as well. So where other sports, it's difficult once life gets in the way. It's difficult to get another 9, 10 players to come and play basketball or soccer or football. I mean, at a certain age, you don't want to get tackled.
Correct.
But you can get a buddy and come play pickleball.
Correct.
You can get a buddy and come play tennis. And since everyone that you meet here is doing the same activity, you meet people here with like-minded interests, and then you become friends. I can't tell you how many people here met here, and they throw massive parties together. They go traveling together. Now the teams go to Orlando together. So again, a rackets club is a lot more than just coming and playing for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Social life too.
Absolutely. And what do you think? What is the main reason behind pickleball growing so fast?
Oh, I think it's the biggest thing for at least my thought of pickleball's growth is number one, it's the learning curve is really small in comparison to tennis. Tennis is very has a really high learning curve, but you can get out there playing in a session or two. So you are immediately enjoying the sport. You're having fun right off the bat. So that is extremely attractive. It's unlike tennis where I'm not tennis is a lot of fun, but tennis is more fun when you're really, really good or when you have an understanding and you can hold a rally. You can do that in pickleball day one. So for a lot of people that haven't had any racket sports training, it's an easy one to pick up. And the other piece is that pickleball is extremely social.
Okay.
Right? It's the community for the most part is extremely welcoming. I mean, I know people that show up to a pickleball court without a paddle, and the first person there is like, "Here, borrow mine." So it's really welcoming. In fact, I know a few people that still have yet to return some of my paddles, like 3 paddles on length. But that sort of community allows for the growth because now, since you've had a wonderful experience on your first day or two of pickleball,
Yeah.
you have a social network.
Correct.
What do you want to do to that social network? Guys, come play pickleball with me. And then they have that experience, and then it starts to multiply quite rapidly after that. The other component is, for the most part, around the U.S., pickleball is pretty inexpensive.
Okay.
Right, so it's easy to pick up, not necessarily easy to be great in, right? But it's easy to pick up right off the bat. It's inexpensive and it's social.
Got it.
So that lends itself to a lot of people that are working from home, don't do activities, and at the same time don't necessarily have a big budget to spend, um, on their social aspect or on a healthy lifestyle. Pickleball lends itself right into that, and we've seen the popularity grow. I think there's a statistic, how accurate it is, I'm not entirely sure, but there's a Google statistic that between August of 2021 to August of 2022, pickleball went from 5 million players worldwide to 35 million players.
Wow.
That's a jump of 30 million players. And I would say the final piece is that there is a substantial amount of money backing the sport of pickleball. Are you on social media? So you see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook, you see it on Google, you see it on television. Pickleball is taking all over your media outlets. Football, there's a football player that just won two gold medals in the 3-0 division. That gets media publicity. Basketball athletes are purchasing pickleball teams. So all of that media is just out there pumping into pickleball. So the person that's never even heard of pickleball now starts thinking, man, what is this pickleball thing that I wanna participate in? So I think that those contributing factors are really exploding pickleball. I mean, well, pickleball's already exploded, but it's just carrying that momentum forward. It's a big, massive snowball effect.
You brought the learning curve. Don't you think like similar to pickleball, ping pong has a small learning curve too? But then why didn't it grow as much as pickleball growing?
I think ping pong has a relatively small learning curve. I think, and I could be wrong. Again, I'm looking at it from a perspective of a racket sports player. So ping pong for me, I'm not the greatest ping pong player, but I can go out there and play a decent game. Where I've seen people that I've played with struggle a lot.
Okay.
The small court, ball's fast. Where pickleball is slightly bigger, the ball's slower. And again, I'm gonna add to that. It's how many places can you go out and play ping pong?
barely any. If I have seen any people buying tables for their homes and playing.
Exactly. So, in a from a home perspective, yes. But when we're talking about the masses, not everyone has the space for a ping pong table. Ping pong is not necessarily an outdoor sport because the ball is extremely susceptible to wind.
Correct.
So now in pickleball, you get to be outside. It's social. There's a lot of marketing behind it, where I don't think ping pong has really has that ability. Where ping pong is better suited for more of an indoor sport.
Correct. Okay. Then I'm gonna come back to you, and as a role, as your role as a director, I would like to ask for our listeners, like your daily, day-to-day activities you do as a director.
I think it mine may vary a little bit because my role as a senior director, but generally speaking, as a director, you're especially those that are splitting between on-court time and off-court time. You always got to tend to your on-court time, whether it's clinics and lessons. I think you want to be extremely forward-facing for your membership, for your clientele. Always making sure that you are thinking several months ahead. I'm a big culprit of thinking of today and sometimes forgetting about tomorrow, just the way my brain operates. And I think for the most part, industry standard is a lot. It's the way a lot of our brains operate. We're really thinking about, oh, I can do this. I can do this Friday. When you could set that up way in advance and get a good marketing plan behind it. So trying to think always ahead of what we can do. There's a little bit of financials behind it, payroll accountability, making sure that our numbers are set, checking previous day transactions. Um, on top of that, just a significant amount of emails that you get through, whether it's new business, whether it's old business, or customer complaints. Those are always best to attend to early on than let them linger. And at the same time, making sure that your team is okay and doing well. I think overall I'm pretty fortunate to have a really rock solid team here at Weston. We have a few idiosyncrasies, but I think overall we're an eclectic bunch that work really well together.
Yeah, and so to me, it seems like you kind of like combining all sides of business, and it's all like under your hood, from marketing to accounting, finance, and then doing on-court stuff on the side and doing HR. Like you're basically combining everything.
No, precisely, and I think from a rackets professional perspective, we're really used to turning on and turning off our brain.
Okay.
And I would say that from at least maybe it was a personal experience, but I do my on-court time when I was off the court and I was not doing anything for the club. I was switched off. I was in my own world, and most of our clubs operate in the sense of morning.
Yeah.
Middle of the day is slow, and then afternoon and nighttime, right? So you're on, off, on, and then you're off again until the next morning. When you are a director of racket sports, you are probably on before the court time, and the court time you're on with the clients, and then you got to schedule yourself however it is that you want to manage your day, whether it be marketing related, whether it's human resources related, whether it's setting up your annual plan, your annual budget, any of this, whether you are just catching up on emails. You want to book that time with yourself before you go on the court in the afternoon time. So the difference I would say from a rackets professional to a director of rackets is where diminish a bit, that off court time really stands up. Where sometimes if a director of rackets is on court in the afternoon or late at night, they've been at the club from the morning to the nighttime
Yeah,
and straight through, because while all the coaches get to go home middle of the day, they're still on clock time.
that makes sense. And what would you say is your favorite part out of all these?
I'd say, since I'm not on the court as much, I know it's exhausting sometimes to be on the court, and I would say that maybe from a personal perspective, since I'm not there as much, I really enjoy going out there on the clinics. I'm more of a clinic person. Private lessons, not that I don't enjoy them, but I really like to have a group for an hour and a half and just try to provide the best session that I can. You see me sometimes I go overboard a little bit longer, but again, I would say that that's because I'm not on the court as much. I think from a pride perspective, it's nice to have all these extra responsibilities. It's nice to, yeah, I take my title with pride, but I definitely enjoy learning more about the business every single day. And just when I think I've got it all figured out, I realize I'm not even close to the tip of the iceberg. But yes, I do enjoy being on court and honestly setting up, probably trying to set up our future in the sense of our leaders of tomorrow. I think that's the best. That might be the most rewarding part, setting up our leaders of tomorrow, because as you guys progress, I take that with pride. The people that have left this club, and progressed their career, I take that with a lot of pride. A lot of pride if they stay within the company, but if I had anything to do that advance their career, even if they're out of the company, I wear it as a badge on my shoulder, because I take a lot of internal pride in helping somebody grow.
Got it. That was a good one. So, just for time constraint, I would like to ask you one more question. Let's say someone wants to be in this industry for like a good part of their life. They don't care if they have to start at the base level and like walk up the ladder to become a director and maybe even go up more. First of all, would you encourage them to go this route? And if so, like what will be like as per your experience, what will be the hardest challenges and the best part about your career?
Um, let me internalize that for a second. When you say encourage them to go this route, you mean company instead of a private club?
No, like in a company, just like CDT or a management company like that, and like would you encourage someone to be a director and be in this role where they are doing, like how other companies, let's keep CDT on the side and see other companies because they have a different person for every single different thing. Like someone else is doing HR, someone else is doing other stuff, whereas you are doing all it combined.
Yes, sort of. I mean, I do a bit of marketing, I do a bit of HR, but I have a team. I have a marketing team behind me. I have a human resources team behind me. I get to participate with them as a manager, but I don't. Those are my main roles and responsibilities. My main roles and responsibilities would definitely be sure we're growing the business, our team is taken care of, and that we're all following a standard, right? But reality is just trying to really grow that business while providing excellent customer service and member experience. So, what I encourage somebody that's starting new to take on this route, as opposed to going into a mainly like a marketing or an HR role, I think that really depends on the individual. I know people that had joined the company as as tennis professionals before we were a racket sports company, and they over time have found that they enjoy being more off court,
Okay.
but within the racket sports industry.
Okay.
So they enjoy the aspect, the dynamic of the racket sports industry, but they also prefer to be off court. So they found a great passion for being in part of our traveling team and selling camps and selling packages, or they've enjoyed being part of our marketing team because that is their passion. But if somebody has a passion of wanting to grow their career and still want to be out on the tennis court, and or again racket court, pickleball or padel, in some locations paddle tennis, and in some locations bocce as well.
Oh,
Clubs really encompass a lot of different sports nationwide and worldwide. But if you have a passion of being out there with the clients and being forward facing, yes, a career in being a racket sports director is definitely one that you enjoy, and it's extremely rewarding. It's also extremely challenging. I don't think we've ever had a dull day here.
okay.
So there's always, each day presents a new challenge, and each day presents a new hurdle to overcome. But yeah, if you love being out there with the people on the court, and you want to advance your career, and you want to have more responsibilities, then yes, brackets director is one for it.
Definitely. And what in terms of hours and flexibility?
Every location is different, and every team is different. So where I may have a little bit more flexibility now to being more off court, because I have a great team, and I can trust them on the court. Where when I originally started here at Weston, I was on court about 30 to 35 hours a week,
Interesting.
and then I was in the office 30, maybe a few hours more. So my week was anywhere around 65 to the 70 hours, which is substantial. But I think that's what it took to grow to grow this place in the short term, and in the long term was finding the right individuals to surround me, to really assist me in the growth of this place. So then after that, we were able to create positions for other people to grow into, and at the same time, it allowed me to have a more balanced lifestyle. I mean, it's not a 9 to 5.
Okay.
It's not your typical 9 to 5 job that you show up to the office at 9, and at 5 o'clock you clock out, and whatever was left you do it tomorrow. That is not the industry we're in, because the industry we're in is providing people their off time happiness, right?
Correct.
And normal people work during the day, so we're providing their off time happiness post 5 o'clock.
Yep.
People don't want to be here in the hot sun at 95 degrees at noon, so we're providing people with their off time happiness at 9 a.m., 8 a.m. So if a 9 to 5 work life balance is one for you, I don't think this is necessarily the industry. But if you want to participate in a dynamic industry that's extremely rewarding, that's a different thing.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question differentiating different departments. Let's say you're trying to hire a tennis professional.
Okay.
What are the traits or personality differentiations you're going to be looking in that?
I think a couple things that I immediately look for. I I want to know their background in teaching, but the first thing that stands out to me is presentation.
Okay.
Okay, how does this person present themselves to me in a professional manner? Then I would have a certain understanding of how they're going to present themselves to a client. So that has to be adequate for me, so I can deem it adequate for them to be out with our clients. The other component is punctuality. That's one thing that if somebody is on time for that interview, they're probably late.
Okay.
So I put it as a big check mark in my book when they show up to a meeting early. Um, Other than that, is what is their personality like? Do I think try to put myself in a client's shoes? I go, would I enjoy this person's company for the next hour and a half, 2 hours? And if I think that's a yes, then they meet those components where I'd say this could potentially be a good hire overall. After that is trust, and trust comes with time. So as this person presents these great traits, I've seen people that they present phenomenal on an interview, but then they're not trustworthy.
Okay.
So once I can gauge to trust a person, sometimes their competency levels are not as important as their trust levels, because um, Simon Sinek provides a wonderful graph where we have a lot of metrics that measure performance, but we don't have a lot of metrics that measure trust. And sometimes, a lot of the times, it's more important to have trust in an individual than understanding their performance. There, you rather have a medium performer of high trust than a high performer of medium trust.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. That does. Okay. Then, but you mentioned all those things, but so there was no criteria for how much tennis the person knows.
That's a good one, because I feel like when we're starting with an entry level position, as long as they are a good player and have a decent rating, their coaching aspect can be coached.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, unfortunately, I can't coach a 3.5 player to be. They could be an outstanding coach, but when I put them out with a 4 or 5 client, they can't keep up, right? So as long as they have an adequate playing capability, if their coaching is not there initially, that's something that we as a team can work on. With a lot of the things that we like to do is shadowing. We like to provide information to enhance their knowledge. We have access to tennisdrills.tv. We're starting a platform there. So all those pieces that you learn one way or another, we can provide that. The hard part is we can't just magically make you 1.0 level better.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah. Got it. And what if you're gonna be hiring a marketing person or an HR?
Luckily for me, I don't have to hire a marketing person or an HR. Yeah. That would be from the director of sales and marketing and the director of HR. They will manage that. I don't particularly know their criteria. I do know, however, generally speaking, as we are a big team, the people that they have hired historically have been outstanding individuals that work really well with others.
Okay.
And so I would say when you are running a company, you want a team, and in order to create a team, you have to create a bunch of individuals that can merge to your dynamic group.
Got it. Last question to finish it. Do you think pickleball is going to replace tennis?
Um, no, I don't think pickleball is going to replace tennis just because tennis as an industry is just it's much more than just ATP and WTA.
Okay.
There's an industry of clothing. There's an industry of equipment. There's an industry of tennis professionals. There's an industry of tennis participants. I don't think it's going to take over. I do think anyone that's not taking pickleball seriously is in the dark ages. Pickleball is here to stay, and if you're not embracing it, you're not growing.
Okay.
So I'm 100% on board with pickleball. I think it's a phenomenal sport. The reality is I don't think either of them are going to replace the other.
Okay.
I think they complement each other really well. Just as we've seen that we've had new pickleball players merge and become new tennis players.
Oh, wow.
And vice versa, we've had new tennis players that become new pickleball players. Or even to add a third dynamic to it, we've had long-standing tennis players that become new pickleball players. So now, to put it into some sort of example, we have a group of members that were 2 times a week tennis participants. And now with pickleball, and it happened because one time we had a compaction issue on the tennis court, and they couldn't reserve a tennis court, so they reserved the pickleball court. So now these guys that were playing maybe twice a week, and they were debating on whether it was worth it to be a member or not. Now these guys are playing 3, 4, 5 times a week. Their kids are involved.
Interesting.
Their spouses are involved. They've become such a tight community. Now they play tennis three times a week. They play pickleball 3 times a week. I basically see them here every day. And a lot of people would say, well, there's no money in pickleball. There's more money in tennis. There's plenty if you calculate it correctly. Because what could potentially be a loss of X amount of members, now it's a gain of community. Now these guys are here to stay. They're bringing in their friends. They're bringing in their family. So yes, pickleball just enhanced. Even if we haven't made $1 off of these guys teaching, it's a whole new way of seeing the financial components behind it.
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But thank you so much for coming on the show. It was very insightful, and I got to learn a lot of things. Thank you so much.